we're just going to slap, Bill Clinton's name on, something, anything, arbitrarily. Are you guys going to be cool with that?
So you're saying a Democrat would put Obama's name on a statue that isn't of him? That would make them look like the stupidest person that ever...
CNN panel debates. Trump's proposed renamings. Conservative commentator Scott Jennings recently joined Abby Phillip's CNN program to discuss former President Donald Trump's proposals to rename prominent landmarks, including the Kennedy Center and military vessels. The panel featured Jennings alongside fellow commentator Joe Belli, sparking a heated exchange on the topic. Today, we're analyzing key moments from this discussion and examining what these proposals could mean. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Donald Trump continues to push the limits of his presidential power by transforming the nation's capital into his image. His latest project, a new class of Navy battleships named after him.
They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world. The U.S. Navy will lead the design of these ships along with me because I'm a very aesthetic person.
The fleet joins a growing list of federal programs and buildings Trump has rebranded. This week, the Kennedy Center Board voted to change the name of its performing arts complex to the Trump Kennedy Center. And Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty is now suing, alleging that change violates the law. She also says it looks more like something out of an authoritarian regime. The New York Times' Peter Baker argues that Trump has taken America's imperial presidency to a whole new level, and that Trump 2.0 is unleashed. He points out other things like Trump's massive ballroom, gold trim on everything, and little resistance from Congress or from the courts. Trump obviously loves putting his name on everything. And look, presidential names are on things in this country, but it's usually not done by them. It's usually done after they have left office, a lot of times after they have died. To be honest, that part of it is unseemly, and it seems to be much more reminiscent of, maybe you could call it authoritarians who do this type of thing. Peter Baker argues that it's a sort of imperial type of kind of thing that he's just sort of modeling himself after.
That's exactly what he's doing. Going back to what I said, because we want to run the table back on Scott on what I said. Republicans, if they can't win, they cheat.
You're still in the circle.
Joyce, yeah,
You're still on the track.
I'm going to help
keep
you.
Going.
Keep going. Keep following me. We're going to get it. That's why I'm sitting right next to you. I'm flew in just for you.
I'm worn out already.
Oh, well then good. Then that makes this easy. This is light work. So Joyce Beatty literally tried to vote to go against that, and they muted her microphone. Let's not skip over that and talk about, his vanity. We know Trump loves seeing his name on things. In New York, his name is everywhere. Joyce Beatty, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, said that she was against that. They muted her mic during the vote. So the difference between Scott and I is Nina Turner, that was sitting right here with you, Scott, earlier this week, she actually was against what Newsom did with the redistricting. She actually spoke up on it and said Democrats should not go this way. See, there's something about the Democrat Party that at least says what's right and what's wrong. And next, Scott is going to sit here and make all of the excuses. I am, but I'm showing the difference between the party that you oppose.
Oh, I got it.
But see, Scott's going to sit here next, Abby. Let's just watch it all for everybody to see and make an excuse how Trump literally did not say that the vote was unanimous, and it absolutely was not.
So I
I'd
mean,
love to know what Scott has to say about it.
What happens when the next Democratic president, just decides, we're going to call it the Obama-Lincoln Memorial. We're just going to slap, Bill Clinton's name on, something, anything, arbitrarily. Are you guys going to be cool with that?
So you're saying a Democrat would put Obama's name on a statue that isn't of him? That would make them look like the stupidest person that ever lived.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because the Kennedy Center is literally a congressionally
it's a building
named, a congressionally named memorial.
It's not a statue.
It's not a statue, but it is a memorial to President John F. Kennedy. In the same way that the Lincoln Memorial is a memorial to President Lincoln.
But it's a statue.
So are you ready?
It has a likeness.
Are you ready for a Democratic president to slap their name arbitrarily on any memorial?
I'm ready for Democrats to misname every statue in America. I think, to prove your point, I think that would be great for their party.
why did
It
they
would
mute
change
her?
all the names
Why
on the
did
step
they
in the
mute
right
her mic?
direction.
I
right?
want to skip
This-
over
Other than
that.
destroying
No,
the
this is
statue.
the party that's
No,
famous
but-
for tearing down Thomas
Yeah, got
Jefferson,
it.
for pulling
So,
down Christopher
I know you guys
Columbus,
wanna
for
skip
pulling
over
down
that.
this statue and that statue. If they want to put a statue up for Barack
Okay.
Obama,
That's
a
great.
great
Let's not skip over this, though.
I
Why
guess
did they mute her mic? I really want to know
She's
why
a
did they mute.
non-voting member. She doesn't have a
but
vote.
why did
She's a
they mute? Why did
non-voting
they
member
mute
of the
her
committee.
mic?
She's
She
a non-voting
disagrees.
member of the
She
committee.
disagrees.
Right, I
She said it
understand.
was
She's a-
unanimous and it was
They have a
not.
committee, and then they let other people watch. She is one of those people who's a non-voting committee member. She doesn't have a vote, period.
But why did they mute the mic?
I wonder how President
she's
Trump
probably carried
has
on. I don't
all
know.
this time to rename the institutions. Doesn't this guy have an economy to fix? Doesn't he have the 2026 midterms to prepare for? I mean, he just said he would personally be involved in designing these warships. I mean, that's just... Does the president not have a UFC fight to plan on the White House lawn? You know, somebody's got to get his priorities straight.
And also, I mean, just not for nothing, but I mean, are the aesthetics of these warships really the most important part of this whole thing?
I'm gonna agree with you there. Probably low in the priority list.
Bipartisan consensus. We can agree with
I
that
just
take.
wonder.
What's wrong with looking cool?
As a veteran,
What's
I
wrong with
salute you
looking
for being
cool?
fair.
Well, I would
Secretary
argue.
of War do
Scott
it.
just can't do it.
Secretary
Shouldn't we
of War
look
should do it, not the
I
president.
would argue.
Why can't we look cool
Secretary
and
of
blow
War.
stuff up?
Because I would
Are they
argue.
mutually
Because I would
exclusive?
argue.
CNN's Abby Phillip challenges Scott Jennings on Trump renamings. During the heated exchange, Jennings remarked, "Why can't we look cool and blow stuff up?" A comment that sparked immediate pushback from the panel. Phillip posed a pointed question to the conservative commentator. What if Barack Obama or Bill Clinton had made similar moves? Jennings responded by referencing the Lincoln Memorial, noting it bears Lincoln's name. But here's the key distinction. The Kennedy Center was specifically established to honor President John F. Kennedy. Trump's decision to add his name to the historic venue has reignited debates about presidential legacy and institutional naming conventions. Phillip's hypothetical raised an important question. Would the reaction be different if a Democratic president had renamed the Kennedy Center after themselves, say, the Biden Kennedy Center or Obama Kennedy Center? This exchange highlights the broader conversation about partisan consistency in political commentary. Critics argue that political analysts often shift their standards depending on which party is in power, while supporters maintain there are legitimate distinctions between cases. What's your take? Does presidential party affiliation influence how we judge these decisions? Let us know in the comments.
We should see them less. If you think about it, they should be stealthy.
The only thing that we should care about when it comes to warships is their ability to do their job and their lethality and their ability to resist lethal attack.
Actually fight war.
I don't get it, but look, here's more of what Peter Baker says. He says in his first year, Trump has unabashedly adopted those trappings of royalty as he's asserted virtually unbridled power to transform the American government and society to his liking. In both pageantry and policy, Trump has established a new, more audacious version of the imperial presidency that goes far beyond even the one associated with Nixon, for whom the term was popularized a half century ago. And it's hard to disagree with that because it's not just the aesthetics, as we've been discussing. He's also created a system in this country where everything goes through him. You want to merge two companies in America? Well, you got to go to the White House and ask President Trump if it's okay. Do you have to make decisions that he is going to like? Do you want to do trade overseas? Well, you have to go ask the president if you can do it, or if you can get a carve out for your business. If you are Saudi Arabia and you're coming to the United States, it's a flyover, it's a red carpet. He wants to basically emulate what he received when he went to the UK and was sitting with King Charles. That's what the imperial presidency really means. It's not so much just the naming of things.
Why is the metaphor of royalty something that's a negative when it's connotated with Republicans, but when it's John Kennedy and Camelot, it's always treated as this mystique and magic? And
well, I think it has to do with power, right?
Yeah, maybe because Kennedy didn't behave like Trump.
I mean,
but in all seriousness, I think that's an interesting question. I think it has to do with power because hold on a second.
When did Mussolini put his name on something? Do we have any record of that?
Let me just answer your question. The Camelot reference, when it came to the Kennedy family, had to do with the sort of appearance of the family. It had much less
Which
to
Trump
do
has
with no.
4 beautiful children, right?
Which is fine.
5 beautiful
And
children.
look, if he wants
beautiful
to
family, they're always
knock it out.
grandkids bouncing on his knee at
Joe,
the White
if he-
House.
if-
No one's debating
if
the
he wants
looks
to
of his
describe
family
himself
as
someone who's
as
not
that's not
blinded,
advocate.
someone who's not blinded by partisanship.
If he wants
I look
to, but-
favorably
but
on the
listen,
way
I
Trump
think
and his
that's
family
fine.
act on the
But
White
Joe,
House the same way the Kennedys
Joe,
did,
I think
or Sasha
I think
Malia
that's
Obama.
fine. Nobody's disputing. I think if Trump wants to be Camelot of 2025 with his family, go for it. But I think the comparisons to the imperial presidency is about power. It's about how he uses power and how that contrasts with the principles of how this country was founded, which was actually against kings who had
Everything you said
unilateral
before,
power.
you said it
That's
before.
what I'm
Everything you said
talking
before
about.
was given his power by Article 2 of the Constitution. Everything you just discussed.
What about the tariffs? Is that
Article
actually
2 of the Constitution.
What about the
Yeah.
part where Congress said that tariffs are
You said
explicitly
you
a
want to trade
congressional
overseas, you have to go to the president. Do you want to
Yeah.
do this? You have to go to the president.
Well,
Yeah. Those are all
listen,
things that are empowered
Joe,
under Article 2 by the president. The fact that this president
I
is
think that
personally
is
engaged
highly-
and not passing it off on bureaucrats is a step in the
highly
right direction,
in
unlike
dispute.
President Biden,
I think that
who
that's,
just slept through
to
it and
your point,
auto-paid it.
that is highly in dispute. Okay, we either are a free market or we're an economy that looks a lot like China or looks a lot like Russia, where you have to go to one guy and get answers on everything. You want to conduct commerce in this country, you got to go to one guy to get answers about whether or not you're going to be able to do that. If that's the kind of economy and country you want, get ready for the next president who does not wear your shirt color to do
We've
the
had
same
that.
thing.
We've
And are
had
you
that.
going to be okay with that?
Executive powers are vested in the President of the United States of America.
Okay.
That's the Constitution, period. The
all
fact
right.
that we have this bureaucracy.
Give me
to
an
help make
example.
decisions-
Give me an example of Democratic presidents doing what Trump has done.
No,
when it
I
came
just
to
said President
mergers
Biden
and-
slept through everything.
when it came
He
to
actually
mergers and
has- there
acquisitions,
hasn't
when
been
it
an
came
unelected
to
step.
tariffs.
It just hasn't.
Just give me an
He let his
example.
unelected staff
I'm
do everything.
legitimate. An example. Give me an example.
I'm giving you the opposite example. I'm giving you a
So in other
problem.
words,
means
it
no
has.
I'm giving you a problem.
In other words,
the
it
problem
hasn't
was that
happened.
President
It didn't
Biden
end
wasn't
well for
involved.
President
translates to
Nixon
no
either, by the way.
example.
President Biden wasn't involved. I think having a president that at least knows where he is, knows what people are doing, and having control over the decisions that the administration is making is a positive thing. Call me crazy.
And yet President Trump is less popular than President Biden was at this point.
And he's
should
been
go to the
sleeping
auto
too. Yeah.
All right. Next for us.
The Trump renaming debate. What's really at stake? Commentator Joe Belli raised concerns during the CNN panel about what he described as expanding presidential influence across multiple institutions, from universities to media outlets. Phillip noted the unprecedented scope of proposals coming from the Trump administration, including facility renamings and policy directives affecting academic institutions and broadcast networks. The core debate centers on presidential authority and precedent. Critics argue these actions represent an overreach of executive power, while supporters maintain they're within constitutional bounds. The double standard question. Here's where the discussion gets interesting. Would the reaction be identical if these proposals came from a Democratic administration? Political observers have noted that reactions to executive actions often vary significantly based on partisan affiliation. Both Obama and Biden faced criticism from conservative commentators during their terms, with some calling their policies overreaching, while simultaneously labeling them as ineffective, a seemingly contradictory critique. The bigger picture. This raises fundamental questions about consistency in political analysis. Do we apply the same standards regardless of party? Or does partisan loyalty influence how we evaluate presidential actions? These debates reflect deeper divisions about the proper scope of presidential power in modern America. What do you think? Drop your perspective in the comments below. And if you found this analysis valuable, hit that like button and subscribe for more political breakdowns.